Hey, welcome back to the Daily Dose. My name is Luke. This week we have been talking about what does it mean to be a Christian. We've looked at a number of things, but today's the final installment of why, if you're already a Christian, I think you should be encouraged and have some hope about what this means. If you're not a Christian, hopefully this gets you kind of thinking and actually has you start exploring some about the faith. But here's the fifth thing that it means to be a Christian. It means that you have a whole new relationship with three of the biggest challenges in this world, which are money, sex, and power. If you are a follower of Jesus, your whole relationship to money, sex, and power has to change. Jesus just turns it absolutely upside down on its head. Now, I can't go to one verse where Jesus specifically addresses money, sex, and power all in the same verse, but I can go to a passage of Scripture where we get a principle that helps inform how the rest of the Bible teaches. As followers of Jesus, we should think about these issues. And so here's what Jesus says in Luke chapter 9, starting in verse 23. He says this: "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it." Jesus says, if anyone's going to come after me, if you're going to kind of get in the following Jesus line, here's what that line means. It means you deny yourself. So the instincts you have, the urges you have, the stuff that would make you important and you significant, you put that second, you deny yourself, and you take up your cross daily. Now, the cross, sometimes you'll hear people say, well, that's just my cross to bear. And I don't know what people always have in mind there. But the idea of bearing a cross is there's only one time you would bear a cross, and that's as you carried it to your own execution. And so when Jesus says, take up your cross daily, what he's saying is die to yourself daily and follow him. If you're going to come after him, if you're going to get in the following Jesus line, here's what it means. You put your desires second, you die to yourself, and you follow him. And what he says in the next verse is that that's actually the path to life. And so that principle actually plays out through all kinds of ways as we seek to follow Jesus. But in particular, it should have a profound impact on how we view money, sex, and power. Right? Because if money is now no longer for my self-indulgence and for my comfort and my pleasure, and instead money is this a tool that God has put in my hands to be a blessing to other people because it isn't for me, and I need to actually die to my desires as it relates to money and be generous, well, that changes everything. When it comes to sex, if sex is no longer, as the world would see it, about kind of your fulfillment and your expression and you getting to have all the different sexual pleasures that you might want, and as long as you want it, it's okay. Sex all of a sudden becomes a gift within the context of marriage. It's this gift where it's not about what you can get out of it, but it's how you can give. And if you talk to anybody who has a long, sexually fulfilling marriage, they'll tell you it comes from a spirit of generosity and sacrifice, not selfishness and try to make me feel good. Same thing with power. We live in a world where everybody's grasping for power, and Jesus didn't have a problem with power. In fact, there's another place in the Bible where he says, if you want to be great, that's awesome, fine, be great. But here's what true greatness in my kingdom looks like. If you want to be great in my kingdom, you must be a servant. If you want to be the greatest, you must be a slave. In other words, if you want to use power the way Jesus uses it, you have to deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow him. Well, isn't that exactly what Jesus did? Jesus is God in the flesh. Jesus was the one who spoke and the wind and the waves obeyed. Jesus is the one who touched someone and they were healed, who spoke a word and raised the dead. He had more power than anybody, and yet what he did was he sacrificed himself. He gave up his power for the powerless, for the hopeless. So when we are followers of Jesus, what this means is that all the different things that have such a stranglehold on so many people in our world, money, sex, and power, the tentacles of money, sex, and power begin to be released as we say, you know what, we don't live for ourselves. We don't live for money. We don't live for sex. We don't live for power. We live for Jesus. And he changes the relationship with all of those things. There's nothing in the world like being a follower of Jesus. It is such an amazing gift. And if you already are a follower of Christ, I hope you'll take this moment to just thank him for what he's done for you. If you're not a follower of Christ, take this time to begin explore. I would encourage you, start reading in the Gospels. Read the Gospel of Mark or the Gospel of John and begin to see, who is this Jesus? There is just nobody like him. What does it mean to be a Christian? Oh, it means a lot of great things. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week.